because this is a really important lesson. This worksheet is really important. It's very basic problems, but the process is really important. Okay, so for all of these problems, the steps are basically the same. You have to read what the question is asking you, okay? These will tell you all to define a variable. If it didn't say define a variable and it just told you to write an expression, you still have to define a variable. You cannot write an expression, an algebraic expression with a letter in it for a real world problem and not say what that letter represents. You have to say what the letter represents. So what is the variable definition for problem number 1 here, or number 2? What is the variable? People might use different letters, but Kathy, what do you got? G for number of games is perfect. That is perfect. I think that's what I used also. G equals games. Games refereed, number of games. Okay. Good. So then if he gets $20, right, that's the unknown here. How much money will he earn for refereeing any number of games? Okay. What's the expression, Olivia? What's the expression for 2A? Do you have your class kicked up? No. Not yet?
20
Jess.
times G.
20 times G. And how do I write that? Okay, you could write it with a 20 and parentheses G, but when you have number and letter, you don't have to write anything in between them. It's almost always just written 20G. Definitely no X in there. Okay, if you write an X in this expression, I will take off points because it looks like 20xg, which would be 20 times X times G. So don't use an X for multiplication, especially between number and variable. Okay, so then how much does he referee for 6 games? Well, that means 6 is G, so you have to show the substitution step. 20 times 6 now instead of 20 times G, which is 120. And then what's under this box? The answer to the question, which is not 120, it's $120. Okay? So there's lots of things here. Somebody could just look at this problem and go 120 and write 120 on the paper and be done. Well, if you do that on the quiz or the test, you're going to get like 1 point out of 4 for this problem. The answer is not the important part. Okay? The process is the important part. Number 3. See, this one, they didn't tell you what to put in for the number of t-shirts. There's no question here. It's just what's the expression going to be. All right, so somebody from home. Somebody from home. What's the variable here and what is your expression? I will call on someone. How about Terry?
The answer?
Well, the 2 things you have to do here is define a variable and write an expression. There's not really a question in this problem.
Okay, so I decided to go with the variable as T.
T, which represents what?
The total cost of the t-shirts.
Okay, that's not the unknown in this problem. It is the unknown in this problem. And I'll tell you that, but the total cost of how many t-shirts? Okay, so one of the confusing parts here is that really this situation should have 2 variables and it should be an equation. We're not learning equations yet. That's in the next unit. Okay, the 3 guys in the back there, well, maybe not Ron yet if he hasn't done it, but if they were going to do, actually only Diego, if you're going to do this problem, you really have 2 variables. One for the total cost, which is your answer, and one for the number of t-shirts, which is your input that you have to provide. Okay, we haven't gotten that far yet. Here we're just writing an expression. The answer to the expression is going to be the total cost. That's going to be the answer, the number that you come up with. But the variable, the thing that you don't know in the situation is how many t-shirts there are. Okay, so this is going to be a common mistake for some people, I think. And it'll get clearer later on. In the next unit, if we define 2 variables, then this will become more clear. But we got to learn one variable first, and then we'll get more difficult later. So thank you. So Terry, if you had T was the total cost, what was your expression?
My expression was 15 times 10 equals T.
Okay, well,
Now that I see it, it probably does not make sense.
yeah, so the T-shirts cost $15 each. This doesn't say there's 10 T-shirts, right? This is an extra amount of money, a shipping fee that's added on that has nothing to do with how many T-shirts you order. Okay, so and this is more challenging. We haven't gone over one like this. This one gets added on. You have something?
I did 15 plus 10 equals T.
Yeah. So if T-shirts are $15 each, and I buy 2 T-shirts, how much money is that going to cost me?
$30.
$30. What are you doing with the $15 and the number of T-shirts that you're buying?
Spelling it on T-shirts.
What are you doing with those 2 numbers?
Multiplying
them, right? If it says each, that means multiplication, right? Each means multiplication. So what you're paying here is 15 times the number of T-shirts plus the shipping fee. Okay? Anyone have this as an answer? 15T or 15X
Yes.
plus 10.
Hey, look.
Did you get that without help, Olivia? Okay, that's fine. Anybody else? Anyone else raise your hand in the meet if you have this as the answer. Good, Tori. All right, this is the hard problem. Okay, good. All right, so yeah. This is more challenging than the examples we did. I get it. The thing about this is all these word problems are different, right? It's not like, oh, they all look the same. They're all going to have they're all multiplication, or they're all going to be addition, or they're all different because you can use all kinds of operations with these numbers. So that makes it much more difficult for people. All right, Haley has a savings account that contains $230, and she's going to put $5 each month from her monthly earnings for babysitting after school. Define a variable and write an expression. So that's what you're tasked to do here, right? We got to define a variable and write an expression that'll give me the answer of how much money she will have after some number of months. Some number of months. Then find out how much she will have in her account after 1 year. So this is the second question. Okay, some number of months is what I need in the expression, and then 1 year is going to be the other question to answer. So first, define a variable. Miles, what is your variable in this problem?
For my variable, it's X is months.
X equals months. Perfect. Okay, I used M. Okay, but some number of months is the unknown thing here. We don't know how long she's putting this money in the account. All right, and what's your expression, Miles? How much money does she have in her account after M months or X months?
230 minus 5 times X.
Okay. Is the amount of money that she has in her account going up or going down? Yeah, Jess is whispering the answers here in the classroom. She's correct. Miles, is the amount of money she has in her account going up or going down?
Down.
Okay, so you think that depositing $5 means taking $5 out of the account every month? That's not what deposit means. Yeah. Withdrawal would mean take money out every month. Deposit means to add money in every month. So we have to make one little change to your expression here, and what would that change be? And instead of taking away $5 every month, we're going to add $5 every month. Okay? So the proper expression here is 230 plus 5m or 5x, whatever variable you use. Okay? That's a minor mistake. That's interpreting the words problem. So you'd lose 1 point for that if everything else was correct. All right, find out how much you'll have after a year. I kind of gave you the hint here on my answer sheet. Okay, you don't put 1 in for M. Why don't you put 1 in here for M to figure out how much she has after 1 year?
Because the answer is not going to change.
Well, that's true, but that answer, if you put a 1 in here and you get $235, that's how much she has after what amount of time?
1 month.
That'd be after 1 month, not 1 year, right? So you got to be careful with the words here. 1 year is 12 months. So I have to put 12 into my expression. 230, what she starts with, plus $5 each month times 12 months. That's 60. Okay, so the answer is 290, but that's not the answer. The answer to the question is, how much does she have in her account? $290. If you forget the dollars on this problem, you will lose a point. Okay? Good. Number 5, more money. Good money problems are good. Chandler has $2,500 in his savings account and a changing amount of money in his checking account. Checking accounts go up and down. You write checks, they take money out, you deposit, you put money in, so it's changing. Define a variable and write an expression that describes the total amount that he has in both accounts. So what's the variable for this one? Carlos.
Huh?
Huh?
So just $2,500.
Okay, $2,500 is not a variable. Why is $2,500 not a variable?
It's a number.
What do variables do?
It's like covers up for something like V or Z or X.
Yeah, a variable is a letter that represents a changing number or a number that you don't know. So you don't use variables for numbers that you are given that don't change. Okay, that's called a constant, this number, not a variable. Okay, so the variable is the thing that's changing. What's changing in this scenario, Carlos? Keep going.
He has like 2 bank accounts.
He has 2 bank accounts, a savings account and a checking account. Which thing is changing?
Like he's putting them in half or something, the money? I don't know.
Nope, cutting them in half in this problem at all. Doesn't say that anywhere. The amount of money he has in his checking account is what is changing. So that's what has to be represented by the variable. I used C. C equals checking account dollars. Is that what you have? Good. Okay. You have to say dollars in your definition here. Okay. He doesn't have yen in his checking account or euros or pesos, right? Other currency, monies from other countries. Okay. So dollars, if there's units involved, you must say the units when you define the variable. All right. So if he has C dollars in his checking account, how much does he have altogether, Carlos? If he has C dollars in his checking account, how much does he have altogether?
I don't know how much the C is.
Right. So just use C in your answer. If he has C dollars in his checking account,
$2,500 plus C?
that's it. 2,500 plus C. That's it. Okay. That's the answer. An expression that describes the total amount that he has is 2,500 plus C. Simple,
Thank you.
but hard, right? Last one. Oh, 2 variables. Define 2 variables and write an expression to represent the total number of legs that you have. If you have some number of horses and some number of chickens. Jess, what are your variables in this problem?
H plus C.
Well, H and C are your two variables,
Oh, yeah.
which represent what?
Horse and then for H and then C.
H for horses and C for chickens. That's what I would use also. You could use X and Y if you wanted to. Okay, H for horses and C for chickens. All right, now my expression has to tell me how many legs this group of animals has. So what is the expression?
Oh, I did H plus C.
Okay, so if there are H plus C, if there were 5 horses and 2 chickens, would they have 7 legs? 5 no, so this isn't going to tell you how many legs there are. This is just going to tell you how many animals there are. What do I have to do with these variables to get the number of legs? Okay, so let's try again with the expression.
H times C.
H times C.
Yeah. Whoops.
Okay, so now if I have 3 horses and 2 chickens, and you multiply these two things together, I have 6 legs. Now, multiplying the number of horses times the number of chickens is not going to help me know how many legs there are.
If I did times them with actual like
Oh, how many legs does a horse have?
4.
So what do you do with H to find the number of legs in H horses?
Huh?
If you have 3 horses, how many legs do you have? 12. What did you do with those 2 numbers? You multiply them.
Yeah.
Do that?
So,
Yeah, didn't we
not multiply H, not horses times chickens, horses times how many legs a horse has.
Oh, okay,
right?
makes sense.
So, what's the first part of my expression? How many legs do the horses have?
4. So 4, like whatever, 4 times.
How many horses are there?
5.
No, there's H horses. There's H horses. 4 times H. That's how many horses there are. Horse legs there are.
And then plus 2 times.
Plus 2 times C, because each chicken has 2 legs. Oh, this is very challenging, isn't it? It is.
C was easy at first.
It seems kind of easy, but for some people, for a lot of people at this age, this is not easy. I get it. I'm very lenient in grading these things. The beginning of what you're going to do for the next 4 years of math. Diego can vouch for this. That defining variables and kind of understanding all this stuff is the foundation of algebra. Because he's taking Algebra 1 right now. He's taking a 9th grade math course this year.
Why?
Because he's in front of everyone else. All right, so now the easier part, which you probably could have just answered this. Like I said, in 3rd grade, you could have answered this question. How many legs are there in 5 horses and 6 chickens? Did you get that answer, Jess?
Yeah, like
What?
the actual answer.
Yeah, what'd you get?
30.
32 legs, right? That's what is it 32?
Yeah.
It's 30.
Oh gosh, I messed up.
Okay, let's see. What's 4 times 5, Mr.?
I know. What did I do wrong? Let's see my mistake. Oh, I said there was only 2 chickens.
There's 6 chickens.
I see that. So here's this is a good learning point, right? Mr. Riley Doofus messed up writing the answer key. Okay. But because I wrote my work out and I got 24 as my answer, the only mistake I made was counting the number of chickens wrong. Okay, which would be a minor mistake. And I can tell that's my mistake because I wrote out all of my work. Right? I even wrote it here that C equals 2. I don't know why I was not reading the problem correctly. C equals 6, which means this, well, I did this in 5 minutes this morning. This should be 6. This should be 12. This should be 32. And under the box, it says 24, but I'll change it to 32. It's a real world problem, so there needs to be a word in the answer. 32 legs, not 24 legs.
Oh, crud.
Oh, crud. Did you not put legs? Happens.
Can I do that now?
Sure.